welcome everyone. I will now call the session to order. I am Trustee Jill Promoli. I am taking over as chair for this evening, and so wish me luck. Don't wish me luck. I'm good, but just if I'm not as smooth as our regular chair, I will do my best. So thank you so much for being here tonight. And we will now move to item number 2, the acknowledgement of traditional lands. So if we could have that.
The land upon which we work, live, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Michizagig Anishinaabe, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize the rich pre-contact history and relationships which include the Anishinaabe and the Ongwe Hongwe.
Since European contact, this land continues to be home to Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. As responsible community members, we value the diversity, dignity, and worth of all people.
Colonialism displaced and dispossessed Indigenous peoples of their ancestral land
and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms.
We are committed to learning true history to reconcile, make reparations, and fulfill our treaty obligations to the original peoples and our collective responsibilities to the lands, water, animals, and each other for future generations.
Your microphone is muted, Chair Promoli.
Thank you. So we will now move to item 3, the approval of the agenda. Can I have Trustee Cameron and Trustee Elves?
Yes.
Chair Promoli.
Move in second.
Yeah. Chair Promoli, if I may excuse the interruption,
yes.
But we were going to do an approved as amended to add the delegation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so approve as amended. So you'll see that we do have the addition of a delegation on tonight's agenda. So Trustee Cameron to move and Trustee Alves to second.
Yes.
With pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And so we'll move on to item number 4, declarations of conflict of interest. Do we have any this evening? Seeing none? Okay, so we're going to move on to item number 5, the approval of minutes. So we do have the minutes from the last Curriculum, Equity, and Student Wellbeing Committee meeting. Can I have Trustee Alves and who else is here with us tonight? Trustee Cameron to move in second.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. And then from there, any questions about the minutes before we move forward? Seeing none? Okay. So approved and seconded, and we are going to move on now to our delegation. So we do have a delegation this evening. Do we have our delegates already present within the meeting?
Thank you, Chair Promoli. We're just admitting them from the lobby.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we will now move to item 3, the approval of the agenda. Can I have Trustee Cameron and Trustee Elves?
Yes, with pleasure.
Do we have a delayed recording? Is that what's feeding back?
I don't have any delay on my end.
Okay, I just heard something coming back. So do we have our delegates now? I have 4 speakers scheduled to speak as part of this delegation. I just want to confirm that I have Dima Alsaka, Iman Assad, Maureen Jelani, and we had also the addition of Isabella Stevenson joining this group of 4 who will be delegating tonight. Is that correct? Do I have all 4 delegates here?
I'm here. Dima's here.
Iman is here.
I'm here. Isabella.
Okay, so we have 3 of the 4, and we are just missing.
I'm here as well.
Oh, Maureen's also here. Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we will get started with your delegation. So for the group of 4 of you, it is 1 delegation. So we have 10 minutes. We will signal to you when we're getting close to that end of that 10-minute mark. And if you are ready, then we can get started.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm first. I just want to say thank you for inviting me to speak. I'm going to start off by saying that as a visible Muslim Arab student in Peel, I am deeply frustrated and disappointed with the lack of action that Peel has taken over the past 2 months. Not a word has been spoken about the ongoing genocide in Palestine that has started 75 years ago, not on October 7th. With the countless walkouts, protests, and with 25% of the Peel student body identifying as Muslims, you would think that more effort would be going into addressing the genocide that is affecting our day-to-day lives and not treat it as something that is happening back home. PDSB as an organization claims to be inclusive, welcoming, and equitable, yet students are being purposefully targeted by staff because they are choosing to voice their opinion on the genocide. We, as students, are disappointed and are holding Peel accountable for their complicity in genocide and turning a blind eye to their students being suspended and harassed by Zionist teachers and principals. We, as students, are sick of the double standards that have been forced on us time and time again, like the teaching of the Ukraine war in classrooms, but the total neglect of the history of 75 years of oppression and siege on Palestine. We, as students, are deeply impacted by having to watch the horrors of children having their limbs blown off when we open our phones in class. How are we expected to continue life as normal when children the same age as me and younger are being targeted by Israeli missiles? We as students feel unsafe to be walking in the same halls as teachers who are targeting Muslims and Palestinians online and in person without facing any consequences or repercussions. We as students have to deal with the Islamophobia that continues to increase at alarming rates and have to deal with this board failing to listen to us to implement this Islamophobia strategy that it has adopted. I feel that this board is weaponizing the Islamophobia strategy by justifying that they are continuing to work on it, when in fact it is using it as a shield to avoid being held accountable to all the Islamophobia that is happening. This board is gaslighting us by not admitting that the canceling of the November 7th event was based on Islamophobia and not logistical issues. Take responsibility and admit your lack of judgment in canceling this important event and postponing it when you feel global issues will stop trending. Students are hesitant to wear their keffiyehs and fight for a free Palestine because of teachers who are watching them and will most likely respond with hateful comments. Where is the action? Where is the accountability? And most importantly, where is the implementation of the Human Rights Code? How can it be that an entire board chooses to ignore and reject the fact that staff under their supervision continue to suspend and wrongfully discipline students who are merely dreaming of a day that the massacre, killing, oppression, violence, siege, and carpet bombing will stop? If there is one thing that I would like you to take away from my speech today, it would be that I am not alone. Students, parents, staff, and community members feel the exact same way that I do, and I want to make it very clear that I'm bringing the voices of more than 40,000 Peel students, and that we will not stop voicing our opinions and protesting until you address our concerns and respond appropriately. Thank you.
Okay, I am next, so 1 second. Okay. I'm in grade 12 and I'm at a PDSB school in Mississauga. As a delegation, we are here to show our solidarity with those in Gaza and remind the board of the impact of the genocide that Israel is committing impacts students and their families here in our communities. We are not asking you to just listen to our words, but for every member of this board to heed our call of action. The majority of the population in Gaza is under the age of 18. The death toll is predominantly young children, and as students, young people, we are concerned about the loss of life we are witnessing in Gaza. On October 31st, the Ministry of Education in Gaza announced the termination of the academic year for 2023 and 2024 as a result of the death of the entire student body. This unimaginary violence is why we are choosing to speak up. Peel students have organized rallies and walkouts to express their support for Palestine. Our fellow students who have shown solidarity with Palestine have shared experiences of discrimination from teachers and feel targeted from their school administration. We continue to see censorship on Palestinian history in our classrooms and limitation of activities in support of Palestine. We cannot continue learning as normal if our schools are not safe for students and educators.
My name is Isabella. I'm going to be continuing what she said. These are experiences from our school, but we have seen similar and more severe examples from other schools we have recently connected with. As Peel students, we are here representing our peers and ask each member of this board to implement our collective demands. Number 1, we demand that the school administration publicly condemn the ongoing genocide of Palestinians and demand an end to the siege of Gaza by the settler colonial state of Israel. Number 2, we demand that the Peel District School Board educators talk about what is happening in Palestine in our classrooms. Number 3, we demand that students are not targeted, punished, or repressed in any way by the administration or teachers for speaking up or taking action in support of Palestine, and that they are protected from any attacks that they may face by others for standing up for Palestine. We demand that PDSB affirm that there will be no repercussions of student-run activity in support of Palestine. For example, events or walkouts, fundraisers. As members of this board, you have the power to stand with the students in the communities you were elected to represent. Just as the board condemned the Russian invasion of Ukraine and took measures to express support for Ukraine, we need to avoid hypocrisy and protect justice globally. We are here to urge this board to meet these demands from PDSB students. The time to act is now.
Hi, Jill. My name is Dima. I am a parent of 2 children in the PDSB, and I join you today as my own grandmother's house in the south of Gaza, where alongside my 80-something-year-old grandmother, 20 to 30 of my family members are taking shelter and are surrounded by Israeli snipers and tanks as we speak. The windows of her house were completely shattered yesterday after Israel dropped bombs on nearby buildings. It is day 61 of this vicious and inhumane genocide in Gaza, and yet I still find myself at meetings, protesting, writing emails, still trying to convince people here that our humanity is connected, that we need to collectively stand against injustices here and abroad, and most importantly for members of this particular Student Wellbeing Committee, that thousands of members of your own schools and communities who have families and loved ones in Gaza are feeling this trauma very, very deeply. We need you to take immediate action. Dozens of PDSB students and parents have lost family members that have been killed in Israeli airstrikes. We need you to start by acknowledging our humanity. We want PDSB to put out a clear statement that it is clear and unequivocal that PDSB understands the pain, understands the loss of civilian life as perpetrated by the Israeli government, and publicly list resources to support staff, students, and parents impacted at this time. Unfortunately, most of our calls to the PDSB so far has fallen on deaf ears. Despite the fact that Muslims make up 25% of your student population, it seems undeniable that you have not been there to support our community as we suffer from losing our family members overseas. And there has been, at TDSB, a complete silencing on our ability to even say that we are grieving, to even say that we're sad and angry. And we've seen a 1,600% increase in Islamophobia nationwide, and that's according to the National Council of Canadian Muslims, and yet still silence from PDSB. In fact, you've gone ahead and canceled some of our events. The PDSB canceled the Affirming Muslim Identities event and even went as far as turning off the comments on all social media platforms. This contradicts the Pillar 4 of your anti-Islamophobia strategy, which requires fostering meaningful engagement and working with local Muslim stakeholders. Did you speak to local Muslims or national Muslim organizations before canceling a November 7th event? Affirming Muslim Identity launch event on November 7th was announced on social media as being rescheduled and commenting was turned off, effectively silencing the voices of parents. There is an apology page to families about rescheduling that is embedded in the website that no one can find unless you go hunting for it. That page needs to be made public to be a step in the right direction. You also need to clarify why it was canceled in the first place. And no one here buys for a second that there was a scheduling or a logistics issue. We need you to publicly acknowledge your failure in following Pillar 4 of the anti-Islamophobia strategy and a commitment to what you will do differently in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all 4 of you for coming to speak to us tonight, and we appreciate hearing your delegation. Do I have a motion to receive this delegation?
Yes, I will. Stan.
Dan, okay, thank you. Thank you, Trustee Cameron. Trustee Alves, can you second that?
Happy to, thank you.
Okay, thank you all so much for coming tonight, and we appreciate hearing from you and the time that you took to speak with us. Okay, all right. And we are going to move forward to staff reports. That's item number 7 on the agenda. We are going to be starting with Superintendent Hoppy, and he's going to be presenting to us tonight about the kindergarten recruitment strategy. So there we go.
Thank you, Trustee Promoli, and through you, Chair. This presentation, oh, sorry, I'll wait for it to come up on the screen. Thank you. This presentation will provide an overview of the kindergarten recruitment strategy. It represents a shift in how the Peel District School Board promotes kindergarten within the community. While kindergarten is not mandatory for 4- and 5-year-old children, research shows that it gives children a solid foundation for future learning. Adopting the slogan of play, wonder, learn, in kindergarten, play sparks learning, the PDSB seeks to highlight and communicate the distinct advantages of Peel District School Board kindergarten throughout the community. This slide showcases the new design and slogan of the kindergarten recruitment strategy. On the right, you can see the flyer's design, and you can refer to Appendix 2 in the report. The flyer, translated into PDSB's top 10 languages, will be extensively distributed across all school communities and various regional community locations, including early on centers, childcare facilities, and public libraries. I will now, you can move on to the next slide. I'll now move on to the next slide. And now I will talk about what you will see here. In recent years, the Peel District School Board has observed a decline in kindergarten enrollment, with a notable reduction of 836 students from September 2019 to September 2023. Noting the significance of this trend, we recognize that increasing enrollment is a collective responsibility. Therefore, we call upon all stakeholders, including administrators and educators, to actively contribute to efforts aimed at reversing this decline by promoting the advantage of kindergarten in the Peel District School Board. With a focus on increasing enrollment in kindergarten and providing greater access to information, a steering committee for kindergarten recruitment was established, comprised of the following stakeholders: Central Years Early Team, Communications Department, Learning Technology and Support Services, the Manager of School Community Engagement, Early Years Educators, and Early Years Administrators. The committee was established with the primary goal of developing a comprehensive kindergarten recruitment strategy designed not only to counter the decline in enrollment, but also to spark a renewed enthusiasm for early years education. Next slide. This graphic, Appendix 1 in the report, provides an overview of the 2 phases within the kindergarten recruitment strategy: pre-registration recruitment and post-registration, along with a communications plan. This strategy underscores PDSB's commitment to equity and human rights, promoting equal opportunities for all children to access quality education. The strategy aims to provide equitable access of information to families so that they can make an informed decision to register their child for kindergarten in the PDSB. The strategy provides information to families that is aligned with Ontario's Kindergarten Program 2016 document, highlighting the benefits of the kindergarten program, such as participating in an engaging inquiry and play-based learning program and preparing for a successful transition to primary grades. The Communications Department has identified a comprehensive kindergarten recruitment communications plan, which includes regular, ongoing communication to the community around kindergarten registration through the following: all families messages, camera-ready articles, PDSB website banner, What's New article, school websites, print media, ethnic media, and road signs. Targeted promotion in areas where there have been trends in declining enrollment will include promotion through elevator screens in apartments and condos. An increase in promotion via PDSB social media, such as the use of Reels, Instagram Q&As, and an Instagram carousel of images and facts promoting the positive impact early years learning has on children's social, emotional, physical, and cognitive development. In addition, schools will have access to a media kit tailored for schools to enhance kindergarten enrollment promotion through the use of a range of resources. This kit includes a flyer, social media reels, school website banners, school communicate messages, and electronic sign messaging for all schools K-12, including both elementary and secondary, for them to use. In partnership with PDSB's media team, photos and video content have been refreshed to reflect current students, families, and staff in PDSB schools, and to specifically demonstrate how literacy skills are developed through play and inquiry to align with the recommendations in the Right to Read report and the new grades 1 to 8 language curriculum. On January 25th, 2024, each kindergarten school will host Play, Wonder, Learn in Action, an opportunity for schools to open their doors within a 2-hour time frame and welcome the community into a specific kindergarten classroom. This presents a valuable opportunity for school teams to highlight the unique advantages of kindergarten in PDSB and for prospective families to firsthand observe the kindergarten program in real time, interact with educators and administrators, and pose any questions they may have. To support school teams in organizing and optimizing the impact of this event, the Central Early Years team and Communications Department have created a variety of resources. Families who attend this event will receive a Play, Wonder, Learn in-action gift bag, complete with a PDSB ABC Play, Wonder, Learn book and PDSB Play, Wonder, Learn blanket. The post-registration phase of the recruitment strategy will take place in May and June of 2024. This phase will provide families and children an opportunity to visit the kindergarten classrooms at their home school through the Start with a Smile event. This event is an opportunity for children and their families to visit kindergarten classrooms, meet educators and other children, and get a sense of what to expect when they begin kindergarten in the fall. It is a celebration of the play and inquiry-based programs in each school community and has the potential to build relationships with children and families as valued members of the school community. As an important component of this event, children will be presented with a Start with a Smile bag, thoughtfully curated with materials designed to spark the transformative process of learning during play and inquiry and support a successful transition to kindergarten in the fall. Next slide. Several promotional reels have been created to showcase kindergarten in the PDSB as a dynamic environment for play, exploration, and learning. These 60-second clips featured PDSB students actively participating in engaging learning experiences, emphasizing how play sparks creativity, inspires innovation, encourages problem solving, and contributes to literacy and mathematical development. The reels are scheduled for regular broadcasts on PDSB social media channels, and schools will also have access to these clips for sharing on their respective social media platforms. At this time, I am pleased to share 2 of these reels. If you can kindly click on the first one on the left. And the next slide, thank you. This timeline identifies dates important to the kindergarten recruitment strategy. Kindergarten registration for the 2024-2025 school year began in November 2023. The official launch of the strategy is set for this month, December 2023, and a comprehensive range of communication initiatives started yesterday on December 4th, 2023, and will be continuing throughout the current academic year. Please feel free to refer to the chart in the next steps section of the report for a detailed breakdown of specific strategies aimed at enhancing information dissemination, improving access to information, and promoting the distinct advantages of kindergarten within the Peel District School Board. This concludes the presentation, and I'm happy to field any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you so much, Superintendent Hoppy. So we will now receive it. Can I have Trustee Alves to move and Trustee Cameron to second?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you. And do we have any questions for Superintendent Hoppy tonight?
I do.
Yes, Trustee Cameron?
Thank you. And I'm so impressed with this. It's been a little overwhelming how how detailed this is, how much I have fallen in love with the work that you have put in, Superintendent Hoppy, along with Associate Director Dr. Logan, and your team. This is detailed, it is inclusive, it's helpful, it's an outreach in multiple ways that I believe is going to help our board bring those numbers up. And if they don't, it's not because we didn't recruit well. The good thing is we always have numbers to compare and go back to. But I just want to say thank you to everyone connected with this. I did send an email out to my fellow colleagues just to say, I have had a number of concerns previously in the last couple of years, and I have shared that with the team. And I have nothing but admiration for the way this is going to be rolled out soon. I'm hoping to get myself to one of my schools on January 25th, Superintendent, to see if I could buy one of those towels or one of those blankets rather. And I love the play, work, learn motto. And it just is, it's magnificent. Everything about this is magnificent. Children learn as they play, most importantly. In play, children learn how to learn. It's got all the buzzwords and all the helpful opportunities. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. I do have a couple of questions through you, Chair, if I could, and I'll just be forthright. I sent all these questions to the superintendent and to the associate director so that they would not be blindsided with something that I already knew I was going to ask. And I'm hoping that this is giving them time to give some thought to the questions and answers. So question one through you, Chair, is will it be a requirement for all schools, including our secondary schools, to use their electronic signs for kindergarten registration information messaging?
Thank you for the question, Trustee Cameron, and thank you also for the kudos. We do have a phenomenal team centrally that has worked collaboratively with those in the field, being responsive to what they're hearing and seeing, along with those of us in different positions to be able to make this come together. So on their behalf, thank you for the kind words that you shared in terms of the efforts. To answer your question specifically, yes, communication will be sent to all schools, elementary and secondary, to post the kindergarten registration information via their electronic signs.
Excellent, thank you. And again, question two through you, Chair. For the road signs, who decides where they get placed? And can trustees be given the intersection that the signs are placed at within their wards if they ask for this? And if I could just give context to this, Chair, and to the superintendent, 1 year in Caledon, a sign was placed on Highway 50, which was a perfect spot for it. Very active, very busy, and the urban center of Caledon, if you like. And one day it was on the side of the road, on top of a pretty deep pile of ice and snow, and 2 days later, when I drove by, it had slid down the hill. So it was literally on the side on an angle, and it really was not a good look. The optics were not good. Come to us where we can't figure out how to get our signs straight for you. So I'm happy to go to intersections in my community and see and be a set of eyes. I want us to do well with this project, and I'm happy to be at least a minimum partner at that level. So sorry, sir. The who decides where they're placed, and can we be given indication where they are?
Thank you again, Trustee Cameron, for the question, and through you, Chair. We can provide the list of locations by municipalities. However, the one thing that we would want to note specifically for this current school year, that there were not enough permits left for Mississauga. So we've had to move the signs to school properties. But for 2024 onward, that will be remedied and we'll be able to place them. But we can provide you a list of the locations by municipality, yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And again, through you, Chair, with respect to the communications plan to advertise in print media and ethnic media, is there any plan to also advertise or send a PR to online media sources? So, for example, in Caledon, we only have one hard copy newspaper now, and two media sources that have gone to only online publication, but they're viewed by lots of people. So I'm curious about the online version.
Yeah, thank you for the question, and through you, Chair. We target print and digital media outlets, including social media paid ads. So we will be getting both formats, both hard and soft copies.
Excellent. Thank you. Second last one through you, Chair. The communications plan is to look for targeted areas based on enrollment data. So my question was, wouldn't the loss of 836 kindergarten registrations from September 2019 to September 2023 involve pretty much all of the wards in each of the three municipalities, or are there some areas that have experienced the dominant registration number loss?
Thank you for the question, and through you, Chair. We have consulted with the planning department around specific areas to focus on based on enrollment data. And planning has provided data to support with this, in particular areas to include high-rise elevator screen promotion. So in other words, targeted areas to focus. These include the Square One area of Mississauga, Erin Mills high-rise community surrounding the mall, the Rush Court condos near Sheridan Center of Erin Mills Parkway, and the Lisa Street community at Queen Street and Dixie Road in Brampton across from the Bramley City Center. So preliminary data by FOS, Families of Schools, shows a varying degree of decline in kindergarten enrollment across all families of schools, with the exception of the AL family of schools, in which from September 2023, there was 1,202 kindergarten students, versus September 2019, there were 962 kindergarten students. And also the Massoud family of schools. In September 2023, we had 1,396 students, and in September 2019, we had 1,335 students.
Oh, sir, you have not left a stone unturned. This is magnificent work. I'm just so excited for us moving forward. Last one through you, Chair, and thank you everyone for your patience. Will the promotion be something that is sent or delivered to all of the early on centers in the region and to all of the before and after school programs in our schools? And I also heard you answer the libraries, which I had missed, I think, in the original reading. So will they be sent to all of those somehow?
Yes, they will be. Through you, Chair. Yes, this is part of the communications plan. And just to reiterate what was shared previously, this will include the early on centers, childcare facilities, and public libraries.
Well, excellent. So I appreciate how transparent your team has been with the numbers. That's not easy to see sometimes when we're slipping like that, but I really believe that you and your team have done every single thing you could possibly do to help us get back to where we really deserve to be, serving the greater number of students and doing the greater good for the many. So thank you, Superintendent Hoppy. I really appreciate all of this, and also your report today. If I was grading this, you would get an A++ for all of the team. And thank you, Chair. Through you, I appreciate the time to ask those questions.
Thank you, Trustee Cameron. And once again, I just want to reiterate the strength of the team. As you know, it takes many hands to be able to move and to be able to do this. And we have a phenomenal team. So the kudos do in fact go to the team, of which I'm happy to be a member of and leading in my capacity. So thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Trustee Bailey, you did have your hand up, but it's no longer up. Do you have a question that you'd like to ask at this point?
I did have a question. One of them, well, the question that had Stan asked and was answered, but I do want to say I saw the kindergarten registration package, and it's phenomenal. I absolutely love it. I love the word wonder. You guys know that the early years is my forte, and you guys have obviously put so much work into it, and I really, really do appreciate all of that. So hopefully, as Stan said, it will be a turnaround, and we'll see this. One question that I do have is, in working with children and families, I recognize that it is those personal contacts that usually make the difference in when people are making decisions like education, where they're going to send their children, Catholic versus public versus private. Is there any in-person events or outreach that will be done to so that way parents can actually ask their questions and get answers to?
Thank you for the question, and through you, Chair. Our major event to be able to facilitate the very thing that you're talking about is taking place on January 25th of 2024. And it's at that time where families will be able to come into a classroom in each of their different schools that offer kindergarten programming to be able to do just that, to ask questions, to be able to see the learning environment, to be able to be welcomed into the space where we want them to feel that they can become a part of and start the journey with us in Peel by coming into a space that is welcoming and they are able to feel those questions and feel engaged. So that event is taking place on January 25th, 2024. And again, through that, they'll be able to learn about the advantage of coming to Peel schools and the advantage of learning with us to be able to do just as we're promoting, to be able to play, wonder, and learn.
Is it a evening or a daytime event?
It will be a daytime event. So each school will be choosing and promoting a 2-hour time frame in which, based on their hours of function, that they would now be choosing to invite families to be able to come in to a classroom to be able to see that particular space. So it is taking place during the school day, and we're excited to be able to invite families into these spaces to be able to see everything as it's happening, to be able to see and ask questions as it's actually occurring, so they can imagine themselves in the spaces and imagine their little ones playing, wondering, and learning.
And there's nothing for families that do have to work during the day? They wouldn't have an opportunity to have that same experience at another time? Just asking.
So through you, Chair, that's an excellent question. So our goal in this particular one is what you can call experiential learning. So this is one in which the only way that we're going to be able to provide this particular experience is by providing it during the actual course of the day, because we want them to be able to see it in action. We will definitely be having other events that will allow families to be able to ask questions of their school, of the school that we want them to be able to engage in, to be able to accommodate those who are going to, who are not going to be able to make it. So that is definitely something that we will be looking at as we move forward as part of our larger engagement process. But this specific event is only going to be able to take place during the day, because again, our goal is to be able to create that experience and be able for them to be able to see the awesome things that we do every day in action.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Any other questions from trustees? Oh, Trustee Cameron?
Thank you. I'm sorry, I failed to mention how incredibly valuable the Start with a Smile booklet is. It's so engaging. You know, children are being asked with their families. I mean, a lot of that is driving connections to the home, but the kids could draw pictures. They could create imagination. Your team really opened up the door for connections to the home with that. And the YouTube video, for my colleagues, if you have not seen that, you must watch that. It is spectacular. It's magnificent. If I had a child, well, I have children, but it's a long time ago for kindergarten, but I'd be coming to you in a heartbeat with those two things alone. So thank you again for the magnificence there.
Thank you, Trustee Cameron.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I'll just mention before we move on that I also was really glad to see this, and I'm so excited about the work coming. And I think it's, you know, as a parent right now with kids in school, mine again are a little bit older, not as old as Stan's, but it is exciting to see this sort of joy in the work that gets done in our schools, and letting people kind of have that window into it. So thank you all so much for your work. So there we are. So I suppose we need to receive this at this point. Did we receive it already?
I don't believe we have, Chair, but I'd be happy to help.
All right. So Trustee Alves, if you could move to receive it.
Gladly.
Trustee Cameron, if you don't mind seconding.
I wanted to move to receive it, but I will second it, yes.
Fair enough. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Superintendent Hoppy. Really appreciate it. Okay, and with that, we're going to move on to staff report 7.2. So that's Mathematics Achievement Action Plan, and that is going to be presented tonight by Superintendent Prati Braja.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Through you, Chair Trustee Promoli, my area trustee. On behalf of my colleague, Laura Chabarro, elementary math lead, I will present Peel District School Board's 2023-2024 draft achievement action plan. This is designed to align with ministry's Mathematics Achievement Action Plan for the 2023-2024 academic year. For convenience, I will refer to this as MAP throughout the rest of this presentation. This board plan aligns and responds to Ministry Student Achievement Plan that was shared with the school boards in July 2023 by Ministry of Education. PDSP's map addresses three key priority areas as outlined by the ministry: the fidelity of mathematics curriculum, teacher content knowledge in mathematics, and developing a deeper understanding of a math learner in our classrooms. PDSP's math is our commitment to action, accountability for superintendents, administrators, teachers, and students. The action embedded within this plan are based on the high impact practices that the Ministry of Education have shared with all the school boards. The plan is currently being rolled out in steps to all schools across PDSP. The intention-focused action within this map are designed to enhance students' fundamental mathematics concepts and skills, aiming for measurable increase in math achievement as reflected in report card and EQO and attendance data. That brings to my end of my report, and we are happy to take and respond to any questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Superintendent Raja. Do we have any questions from trustees? Okay. Oh, Trustee Cameron.
Thank you. Thank you, Pradeep Raja. I don't know where you are, but those are pretty windy trees behind you. So presumably, and we're hearing a lot from, I'm sure trustees are hearing from families, I'm hearing from mine around math scores and challenges within our schools with respect to how children are doing, whether they're improving or not across the board and certainly across municipalities. I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there'll be some measurables in place that will be reported back as to how we're doing over time.
Through you,
Chair. Yeah, through you, Chair. That's a question.
So through you, Chair, absolutely. We have done comprehensive data analysis through our amazing Department Innovation and Research. And through that, we have analyzed the report card data and EQO data. Based on that, we also have targeted schools that we are supporting through math facilitators and other supports. And the math facilitators are funded by Ministry of Education. So Laura and I have been working collaboratively, and we are at those schools every day, and the math facilitators are working with the children and the teachers in the classrooms every day. So our goal is to increase those results.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to seeing how we improve over time. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chair.
Through you, Chair. Thank you, Trustee Cameron.
Wonderful. Any other questions from trustees? Okay, so we'll move to accept. Trustee Cameron?
Happy to move, Chair.
Great. And Trustee Alves, could you second?
Happy to second.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Superintendent. Really appreciated the presentation tonight. So now,
thank you.
Oh, thank you. So now we're going to move on to staff report 7.3, school improvement and equity planning, SEEP site, presented by Superintendent Laura Chabarro.
Thank you so much, and through you, Trustee Promoli, I will present the School Improvement and Equity Planning Site Report. Throughout my presentation, I will be referring to the School Improvement and Equity Planning Site as the SEEP site. SIEP is short for School Improvement and Equity Planning. The SEEP process supports school leadership teams in identifying and implementing conditions in each school that foster academic success, sense of belonging, and well-being for all students, especially those who have been and continue to be marginalized due to underservice. The SEEP process helps school teams in reviewing and identifying disproportionate outcome data for students. The process supports school teams in identifying and monitoring steps to address these outcomes. The SEEP process is not new to PDSB senior leaders and staff who are in school leadership teams. What is new is that now we have a digitized process that is organized into 4 steps. Each step captures the responsive work that's happening in each PDSB school in one digital space. The 4 steps that each school follow are: step 1, we review historical data to understand the school context. Step 2, set data-informed school goals. Step 3, monitor the implementation of these goals for the purpose of improvement. And step 3, reflect to identify next steps, and the cycle repeats. All information related to these steps is captured within this SEEP digital tool for review and for feedback. This school year, schools were asked to create 2 SEEP goals. SEEP Goal 1 focused on building students' sense of belonging and well-being in learning environments. And SEEP Goal 2 is around achievement with a focus on literacy and mathematics. The SEEP tool supports school leadership in setting high expectations, using responsive strategies, and monitoring progress through data to address disparities in outcomes for marginalized students. The SEEP process emphasizes creating safe and inclusive environments with high standards. It also aligns with board practices and incorporates strategies from initiatives and strategies like We Rise Together 2.0, affirming Muslim student identity, and Indigenous ways of knowing. Holding school leaders accountable, the SEEP site provides resources for system transformation, addressing systemic racism, and promoting conditions for all students, especially historically marginalized ones, to thrive. Administrators share their SEEP goals, plans, and next steps that are included in the SEEP site with families through a variety of means. Every administrator chooses the process that fits best within their processes that are outlined through their school council members. And parents also are involved in the SEEP process in terms of direction from their administration. Currently, the SEEP site is for use by senior leaders, administrators, and SEEP school leadership teams. We are looking at expanding it. This is the end of my report. I am happy to respond to any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you, Superintendent Shabaro. Do we have any questions from trustees? Oh, Trustee Cameron.
Thank you. Thank you for the report. I don't know a trustee that I spend a lot of time talking to in this board who doesn't start conversation that includes the word student success. We are, I think, a very heavily focused group of trustees who hear the need for student success within their communities. And the SEEP process that you have just described, I think, is aligned with so many of our needs with our students and families and within our areas. But the goal 1 around belonging and goal 2 around achievement with respect to literacy and math, I'm not sure if the first one is a measurable belonging. Maybe you could answer that. Goal 2 is definitely measurable, I see. But is 1, how do you measure whether we're being successful in helping students feel like they belong?
Thank you for the question, Trustee Cameron, and through you, Chair Promoli. It's a very interesting question, and sense of belonging is addressed through student engagement, through student surveys. Attendance is another measure that we use to measure sense of belonging. In many of our exit surveys and exit tickets that educators use in classrooms, we are able to capture student engagement, interest, etc., and what we use to demonstrate measures of belonging.
Excellent. We'll keep up the good work, and let's help every single student in this board to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. That should have been through you, Chair.
No, you're good, Trustee Cameron. Okay, any other questions from trustees?
Sorry, could I just add, I heard Pradeep Raja say that you were his trustee, but he never said that I was his trustee when he was a vice principal in one of my schools. And I'm just looking at both of us now thinking, I had way more hair 13 years ago when I met Mr. Raja, and now he has the same amount. I'm wondering what that effect was.
Yeah, my apologies through you, Chair. And it's not a report, but I admire Trustee Cameron and his work to the community. I know my heart goes out to Caledon and Walton community. I enjoyed that community very much, and I still have connection to the family and students.
Thank you, Pradeep. See you soon.
See you soon.
Wonderful. Okay, and I would just like to mention too, I do appreciate the conversation about belonging and how much work there is that's going into that, because I think the more that we're doing to ensure that every student shows up and knows that they are not just welcome, but that they do belong in their school, the more that they are going to succeed, because they don't have to focus on not feeling like they are accepted. So thank you for all of this work, and I really appreciate this report tonight, and I look forward to continuing to see this unfold. So thank you. Oh, and we should move to accept. Trustee
I
Cameron?
move it. Yes, indeed.
And Trustee Alves to second.
Yes, happy to.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. And now we're going to move on to staff report 7.4, the library audit status report presented by Bernadette Smith. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and through you, Chair Promoli. Previous reports on this initiative include information sharing regarding the response to Directive 18 and a Curriculum Equity and Student Wellbeing Committee meeting spanning from April 2022 to May 2023. The first step of the curation cycle involving the weeding of library collections was completed by June 2023. This process was paused following a committee motion in May and continues to be paused as a result of the direction from Minister Lecce. Schools received replenishment funds in October 2023 to enhance their library collections. Library Support Services team have played a pivotal role in this phase, providing essential tools, hosting informative workshops, and extending comprehensive support, both virtual and in person, to teacher librarians. This concerted effort underscores our unwavering commitment to curating collections that affirm our students' intersecting identities and experiences. Furthermore, it ensures that the resources provided not only meet the current curriculum expectations, but also resonate with the board's overarching priorities, fostering an inclusive and representative learning environment. Notably as well, there were initiatives like a French book fair and an English vendor fair to assist librarians in diversifying their collections. 232 schools have received funds for seeding their library learning commons collections. Teacher librarians will use these funds to purchase resources with ongoing support from our Library Support Services team. The librarians continue their roles in fostering a love for reading and managing school collections. This is the end of my status report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Smith. We're going to go to first Trustee Alves with a question.
Thank you, Chair Promoli, and through you, I have a question for Superintendent Smith. So I'll just start, Superintendent Smith. Thank you so much for providing the report. I greatly appreciate the work that you've put into this and for taking the time to join us here this evening to provide the update. So more of a comment to start. I noticed in the report, there's a section that notes in September of 2023, Minister Lecce directed the board to cease this practice, such as the PDSB complied with his request. I noticed in your verbal report that you noted correctly that in May, the Board of Trustees the Board of Trustees passed a motion calling for this to be paused. So wondering if we might be able to have an edit to the record to just record that in the written report.
Sure, yes. Yep, absolutely. I can get that done.
Thank you, Superintendent. And then I just wanted to follow up and ask, in continuity with the motion that was passed, are you able to provide an update regarding, maybe perhaps a rough timeline as to when we might be able to see, for lack of a better word, the catalog or the system that we were working on putting in place to kind of keep record? Do you know if you have a timeline for that?
Yes, and so what's happened is we have a brand new library system that we have installed this year for all schools to use. It's called Insignia. And so the history now within that begins in September in terms of the borrowing of books within school libraries through students, and et cetera. We hadn't had a record of all of the books that were weeded out, and that was the weeding of the books, which happened last year and ended at the end of June. And so there haven't been any books that have been following the step 2 or 3. So we haven't had a record of any of those books because we haven't continued with the process.
Got it. So I guess perhaps a note for maybe offline, but my question was, if the motion was passed in May, and I know that some weeding was still ongoing, if those books would have been recorded. And then my follow-up is, do we have any idea of rough cost as to how much in dollar value this process has cost the PDSB? And by that I mean, rough estimate as to how much it has cost the PDSB in lost books, whether that was for damaged books or otherwise. I've gone to a fair bit of schools, as my colleagues have as well, where we're seeing, quite significant numbers in the tens of thousands have being removed from a single school. So just wondering what that cost would be if we wanted to replace every single one of those, if we might have a rough dollar evaluation.
We do not. We do not have a rough dollar evaluation. We have provided replenishment fees for a significant amount of replenishment fees for libraries to begin to curate collections that are, again, reflective of our students' interests and our curriculum needs at this time, as well as our board priorities. But no, we do not have a record of that to provide.
Thank you. Those are all of my questions for today. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Alves. Trustee Cameron?
Thank you, and thank you through you, Chair. Thank you, Superintendent Smith, for the report. Just if I follow up on my colleague's question, we have 232 schools that received some funds, right? Would we not be able to take 232 schools individually, perhaps their totals, add them up, and would that not be the replenishment total cost?
Oh, do you mean the replenish? And through you, Chair, I'm sorry that I didn't say that earlier. Thank you for the question, Trustee Cameron. Do you mean the amount of replenishment funds that we've offered to schools? Is that what you're asking?
That's what I'm asking about.
Oh, okay.
So we have 232 schools that received funds. So
yes.
We would know that total. Right?
Yes, and so we would be able to provide you with a total, and I can get that for you for the exact amount, and so I can get a total for you, absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that. And one last question through you, Chair. We have 232 schools that received some funds. We have 259 schools in the board. That leaves 27 schools that didn't receive anything.
Yes.
Is there a gap there that we're not privy to? Why would that be?
And through you, Chair, I figured that you were going to ask that question. So many schools, the schools that are remaining would have had already very healthy collections, so they didn't require the replenishment funding. And we did go through a process where schools requested through a rationale how much funding that they would require in order to replenish books within their collections. So for some, they've already had quite a few books, and so they did not request. And any people who actually submitted later, we were able to provide that funding for them as well, because we were working within some timelines.
I see. Thank you. I appreciate that. The fact that you anticipated the question is proof that human behavior is predictable. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Cameron. Trustee Alves, you have another question?
Thank you, Chair. Just more of a clarification. So just a thank you to Trustee Cameron for asking that question. But mine wasn't the same. Mine was more of a, if we took a rough estimate, if we asked each one of those 230 some odd schools that removed books, how many books they removed, and then took the average cost of a used book in Ontario and extrapolated that cost by X amount of numbers removed. If we could say 2,000 books a school, I'm using a rough estimate. I have no data to back that. I'm just pulling a number out of thin air and multiplied that by an Ontario average. I think the Peel District School Board would have a rough estimate as to what this process has cost us, so that we might be able to then communicate with the ministry for additional funding should it be needed. But I understand we don't have that number available.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Alves. Any other trustee questions? Okay. I will just ask quickly. So I'm glad to hear the discussion of funding coming up, because that is something that we have been hearing about quite consistently, both from community members and also from schools when we visit them. I'm wondering if we're finding that the funding that we have available for replenishment is matching the need, given the more comprehensive weeding that has been taking place during this process, just to ensure that we are able to put our schools back into a place where they have collections that feel like they match the needs of their students.
And thank you for that question. Through you, Chair. We do feel that the funding is quite suitable in terms of replenishment of collections. We also feel that we don't want an overspending to happen right now and then be in a similar situation 5 years down the line when books will again need to be replenished. And so we need to do this in an incremental manner in order to build collections based on the needs of society, based on the needs of curriculum and all of the different changes that we continue to see in education. So we do feel that the collections are growing, and this is one form of funding for the replenishment. Certainly schools will also be providing additional funding for those replenishment matters to take place within the schools. And that's also through fundraising that schools will do as well to continue to grow their collections. But again, we don't want an overpopulation right now, if you will, of many books where within a few years they may become obsolete or not meet the requirements of that we're using for weeding, which is the musty requirements.
Okay, no, that is very helpful. So if we are looking at this as a process over time rather than, Dr. Logan, did you have something to add to that particular question before I follow up?
Sorry. Can you hear me now? My apologies. Sorry, I'm trying to.
Okay. Wait, do you want to put something into the chat, or I don't know what's easiest?
Yeah, I just fixed it. I think we're good now.
You're perfect.
My apologies for the background noise. No, I just wanted to add that, I know that we are engaging in a conversation about the replenishment of books, and I just want to also add, which I know that Superintendent Smith also spoke of, is that we're also encouraging our students to use digital resources and all kinds of other materials in order to be able to get access to information and to learn and grow as well. So I know that our conversation is focused on the replenishment of books, but I also just want to remind everyone that our children are using digital tools and all kinds of other ways in order to access information, and that we encourage them to do so, databases and all kinds of other resources, as that is the world that we are in. And as we look for post-secondary, those are a lot of the resources that our students will be moving towards as well. So just wanted to add that as well, that we always also want to remind the vast ways of means that our children access information as well.
No, I appreciate that clarification. Thank you, Dr. Logan. And it's true, we do want them to know how to use digital resources too. I know my kids are always happiest with an actual book in their hands. So that's what my house looks like. It's just stacks of books all over. Yeah, so So given that we also have the digital resources, but we are looking at making sure that we're not, fully stocking the library, I suppose, at this point, recognizing that weeding does need to be an ongoing process. And so it's not something that you want to just do once and then it's finished. It's something that is constantly done to make sure that a library is in good shape to serve the needs of the students. Does that mean that we'll have sort of annual funding to in a different way to help make sure that we are continuously providing our schools with the support that they need to make sure that their collections are in good shape? If they are doing so for example, if they're doing some weeding every year, they would also have some replacement to do each year. And I'm just curious if the funding that we are providing for replenishment sort of reflects that sort of ongoing process rather than, here we are and we're doing obviously a quite a comprehensive weeding process at this point, and then continuing through the musty process. Is that sort of the way that we're going to fund it?
I don't know if Superintendent Smith, if you want to respond, I can certainly add, but I don't know if you want to begin and then I will add based on your response.
Yes, and through you, Chair. That's a very good question. And frankly, every school does have an operating budget. And within that operating budget, principals will allocate a certain amount of money for the replenishments of books. That is practice for each school each year. And so we will continue to support administrators in order for them to identify the amounts that they require in order to continue to build their collections. And that is also through the training that we offer through our library support services team in order for our teacher librarians as well to, find ways to allocate funds in order to continue to build their collections.
And if I can also just add that some of the central departments, say, for example, the curriculum department, depending on if there is a particular launch of an aspect of, either a program of study, then very often there are also books that are shared with that as well. And so there are many ways that schools are supported with books and resources to complement the curriculum and to support learning for students.
Great. Just one last question. If a school has already received some funding for replenishment and they found that maybe didn't meet quite the need that they thought it was going to do, is it possible for them to come back and ask for additional funds while we're continuing through this process? Or is it just put in the request and you've received what you've received and that's sort of the end?
Thank you for the question, and through you, Chair. At this time, we have completed the replenishment funding distribution, and so no, schools cannot request additional funds.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate all the answers tonight, and I appreciate getting the update on this work too. So thank you so much. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Lowe.
What I was going to say, but I would add that if there is a school that is struggling with funds and so forth, there's always opportunities for them to have conversations with their superintendent to be able to discuss what possible processes that they might be able to put in place in order to address a particular need.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I think that's it for questions. So we're going to move to accept. Trustee Cameron?
Happy to move.
And Trustee Elves?
Happy to second.
Great. Thank you both so much. And with that, we are going to move on to item number 8, communications. I don't believe we have anything under that tonight. From there, we're going to move to item 9, trustee motions for consideration, and we don't have any of those tonight either. And then from there, we're going to move to item 10, trustee notices of motion. So 9 was trustee motions for consideration, 10 is trustee notices of motion. Seeing none, we will move forward, and that brings us to item 11 for adjournment. Can I ask Trustee Cameron?
I will move adjournment. Yes, Chair.
Great. And Trustee Alves to second?
Happy to second.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate having you all here tonight, and thank you for the reports. I think this is a very helpful evening. Oh, and Trustee Bailey had her hand up for a moment there. Oh, and do all accept?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
That was it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you all so much.